Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a surprise. So it's Monday. Monday is always news day basically for the global side, and normally I wait one day to do it, but JP hasn't really had any news tonight after the lack of news last night. So with that being said, we're just going to be talking about this, the fact that tonight the producers of Brave Exvius on the global side ended up giving a little bit of a surprise, and quite frankly, I am surprised to see exactly this. But all of you globalers are going to be getting a Halloween banner. Congratulations! I know that there were a ton of people out there who were really waiting for this because, you know, Halloween definitely more popular on the global side than I feel it is on the JP side. But these two new units are also coming over considerably earlier, like 3 months earlier, and some pieces of equipment earlier that probably would be a little bit better for them. So this is pretty interesting to see this. And I have to honestly tell you that this is going to be a pretty big, I think this will be more impactful than it is on the JP side. I'm going to talk about both of these units, talk about the general overall details and all of that. So yeah, besides that, we do know that Global is going to be getting a Halloween logging campaign where you guys over 5 days are basically going to get a total of 2,500 Lapis. Some of you Global have noticed that this is more than the JP side. There's a reason for that. JP is coming up on its 1-year anniversary, and I think that they are decreasing the amount of Lapis that we are getting so that they can potentially give more during the 1-year anniversary. Whatever, not a big deal. It's really not that much, and seeing that Global seems to have skipped a couple of banners, I'm very interested if that means that Global is playing catch-up, which means that the Lapis could just be an even amount between the JP side and the Global side, and they're just giving, you know, a little bit more because the goal is eventually get the two versions on par, which would be actually pretty interesting if we were to have a combined version. But again, that's just speculation at this point. There's no proof that is what is going to be happening. It was just kind of an interesting thought. Now, I'm sure some of you want to be poopy about it. And, bro, that's wrong for this reason, and this reason. It was just a fun idea. Anyway, talking about the new units, there are two brand new units. We have Little Lila Halloween version, or honestly, I'm a little disappointed that the global side didn't just call her Werewolf Little Lila or change the name a little bit, because just like Little Lila semicolon Halloween. Okay, all right, as official as it can possibly be. Anyway, Arithmetician, White Mage, and Ninja. Animal Pumpkin, which is an incredibly powerful limit burst, gets a damage multiplier up if the unit in target is a multiplier of level 3, and also just a really strong, powerful limit burst that can remove all buffs from the target. So if you're wondering what that means, because I think a lot of people will want to know what this means, basically the debuff, it like debuffs such things as hate or certain power-ups on a character. So it's essentially having a dispel before the nuke. So it's a really, really strong limit burst. It also comes with basically kind of the same kit that you are going to see on Ildira. Almost the exact same in terms of Arithmetician. The big difference between the two of them is the limit burst. I feel like the limit burst is much stronger, more damage-based. Obviously, the one on our water Arithmetician is more of a support style. But with that being said, Little Lila is still generally just really stronger for a couple of reasons. One, a dedicated White Mage sub-job means that she has much better healing potential, and just for, you know, number of spells that she does have access to. So yeah, I'd say that Little Lila is more than just pretty good. Also interesting that in the news post on in-game, there doesn't seem to be information about her her Trust Mastery, although our other character does. So I assume that she has the exact same one, and this is going to be, again, more powerful because it does buff other wind units. So if you, for instance, have Ayaka on your team, she will get a boost to her HP as well as her potential wind damage output or other wind units. So this is a new level of powerful Trust Mastery, and that is going to make both of these two units very valuable. Now, talking about our other character, who I actually do have on screen here. There. Oh, wait. Sorry. Clicked the wrong button. There we go. Halloweenario is definitely going to be a huge power creep for Global for a couple reasons. First of all, Room Knight is just an incredibly powerful job. I've had the pleasure of having that job on Howlet, I should say. Just an incredibly strong job that trades off the use of HP for damage. And the interesting thing about this is that it really is good. It's basically Dark Mage, but the Mage characters usually have a little bit of healing capability too. There is a drain ability in this job as well. So it is a particularly very strong job. Black Mage does feature such spells as his Stone Elemental spells and Flare. Basically a pretty complete version of Black Mage. And last but not least, the most valuable thing in this new character is the Paladin subjob, which makes this unit incredibly tanky. With Guts, specifically the Guts ability, but also Sentinel, this unit can tank a lot of damage, and therefore he is just pretty darn scary. In terms of his Limit Burst, which I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview of the animation because his banner is still up on JP, so I can show this off. Again, Creeping Terror deals damage M to targets and also has a chance of inflicting poison for 3 turns. This is not as strong of a Limit Burst, I've found. It's still pretty darn good from my initial testing, but it kind of just wants to get that stat effect on there for more benefit. It's not a bad Limit Burst by any stretch of the imagination. It's even AoE, but in terms of this unit, I think most of the time, unless the enemy is poison weak, you're probably just going to want to use the strong part of his kit. And strong it most definitely is. And not to forget about mentioning a really important thing is the Trust Mastery. The Trust Mastery is the zombie mask, which if you didn't hear about on my recent video, is basically bestows upon a unit re-raise on self with minimum HP recovery. I do believe it's about 20% of the unit's HP to be recovered. Can only be equipped on certain jobs, basically anything magical based. So I've said before that this is a very strong very strong Trust Mastery for sure. It does need to be casted, so it's not an instant thing. It doesn't save you on that, but it does provide some AP generation. I think that this is just very, very strong on healers, because if a healer gets revived, they could heal themselves. They could potentially arise another character. I do think that this is just a very, very strong Trust Mastery, but much stronger on Global than it is on JP, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But Halloweenario, I think, is going to be an absolutely insane unit on Global. So for both of the units, I would actually give a pull recommendation for both characters. And now I'm going to get into more of the why. So I'm going to see if I can't find a good Halloween Lila in my friends unit list. Let's go in here and in here. Pull up the party. When it loads. Scroll through. That's a little disappointing. Sorry about that. Not much you can do when the friend list just doesn't. Oh, never mind. There we go. Awesome. Look at that. See? Totally planned. All from the start. So here's an example of a level 96 one with, a pretty good build. The new Typhoon card and the Typhoon Summon will do wonders for little Lila, but I assume that will be coming much later in the global version. But really strong speed stat, strong magic stat. She is just a pretty darn good character. And looking at the way this character is built here, with resistances though, as you can see, she potentially trades off quite a bit in terms of resistance. Also with the ice elemental weakness too. She does rely quite a bit on just being able to evade attacks. If she can evade she has a pretty high natural evasion, and she's kind of just built to that way. Even her Trust Mastery kind of supports just going for straight evasion on her. But it does mean that with the number of ice units out there and potentially facing down something like a Gilgamesh or something, she may be just a little too fragile. But if she doesn't get hit, she is an insanely strong, insanely fast, and I would just basically say right now she is the best farmer period in the game. I think that just her kit, the AoEs, the fact that she has a ninja sub job just makes her insanely good, and she can also double as a healer. Cannot recommend that character enough, but let's continue on for a little bit and talk about, of course, the other unit, and this time I also don't have him because apparently the friend version just hasn't reset. So with that being the case, just going to have to make mention of Halloweenario in the fact that he does have a, from the friend build that I've seen, he does have a really, really strong high defense. He can get a really good magic stat as well. The level 80 version, I believe, was around 900-ish, with about a 58 defense on him. The one thing that was a really big problem in my mind was his speed, which was hovering about a 60. He is a much more tanky based character, but with a lower speed he could just get outsped by other characters and therefore kind of get a little bit beaten up by it. Either way, a potentially really, really strong unit. And I do believe one of the biggest things to do with that unit's resistances was wind and slash was a big problem. So if there was a wind elemental slash based character in the future, that could potentially be very, very dangerous for him, or just, you know, wind characters in general. So these two characters coming to the game kind of balance each other out, but it should be noted at this point that one of the things is that if I was to say which unit is probably going to be stronger on global, I would say that Halloween Lila is probably going to be a much better unit overall for farming. I think that she's just generally really good in other content too, and I've definitely seen her used in PvP on the JP side, both in terms of Guild Wars, in terms of Arena, and she's been a particularly strong foe there. However, I think that on the global side, our Earth unit here is going to be much more impactful for a particular reason, and that's because of a missing unit that is currently on the JP side, who just happens to be waving at you right now. And look, here she is as well. Sakura is a really powerful mage on the JP side. She has is particularly a pretty darn key essential ability for being able to fight off some of these units right now. And that would specifically be the fact that she has an ability that deals damage but removes guts. And for those, I guess, who don't know what guts is essentially an ability that allows you to tank a near fatal hit and keep HP and still survive. Sakura's ability essentially removes that ability and allows the character to still be killed if she can deal enough damage as well, but either way, the Guts status effect is completely removed from the unit, so another unit could also just come in and snipe that unit who was relying on Guts to stay alive, and it is pretty impactful. Sakura is a very, very strong character. She has the equipment that even buffs her even stronger, but it's not there on the global side. So I would expect to say that for a little while at least, I think that both of these characters will be incredibly influential on the global side and is just like a much earlier power creep than we were expecting. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, it's great, it's going to be really great value to get either of these characters, or dare I say it, if you have the Lapis or if you are spending both of them, because I think that both of these units are absolutely spectacular and will outperform than what they are currently doing on the JP side, where I think there's a lot more counters to them. Also, to talk about counters really quickly, when it comes to Little Lila, it should be noted that with the Final Fantasy IV event, there is some more ice options out there and ice range options to deal with her. Specifically, I am talking about Rosa from the Final Fantasy IV event. She is just particularly really good here. Laswell also would probably just be fine for countering Little Lila if you're looking for counters in PvP. But having a little more range on our arithmetician, who has a pretty darn good range on her abilities, pretty good speed and pretty good movement, will just mean that I think there's going to be more counters to her in the future. So she should be pretty darn good value for a long time to come, I think. Again, just for farming alone. But in terms of like fighting off our Earth Elemental character here, one of the characters that I think is the primary tool that I use to fight against him on the JP side is Howlet here. Howlet is basically the same class as him, but has more healing and offensive abilities, where Raryu is just essentially more defensive in terms of a character. Can still put out really good power, but Howlet would be is a pretty big threat to him, and he is much more counterable on the JP side than he will be on the Global. So yeah, both of these characters, I think it's great that Global is going to be getting it, and not only that, it should be noted that for those people who are wanting to build them, apparently there's going to be 120 of, I think, both of the character shards that you'll be able to get through bingo boards. This is something similar that we've seen on the JP side, which I'll just kind of show off here, where basically for anyone who, and this is not 100% because we have not seen this on the global side, so we don't know if they're going to change anything about it. But basically, if we're talking about this, you end up getting the character, you improve the character, and by doing that and improving the character, you get a whole bunch of their character shards. It looks like Global is going to be giving more than the JP side is, which is curious at first until you kind of think about it. It seems that both of these characters are being released at the exact same time and are also going to have kind of a shorter period than JP is, possibly. Halloween Lila you've been able to get shards for her on the JP side for the entire month from the Whimsy Shop, I do believe. If not that, then from the Chocobo Expedition and a few other places. But in terms of for Global, it's going to be a little bit shorter of a period for her, so they're probably just balancing that out and also bringing the friendlier system for limited time units over to Global, which I am totally fine with. Although I would like to see the JP side for at least once not get so screwed out of it. It does seem like Global constantly... Oh, sorry, I had that image up. There it is. It does seem like the Global side is getting a little more generous, so it'll be interesting to see how these boards completely stack up, whether they're going to be the exact or just better overall or all of that, but I will definitely be keeping an eye on that. Either way, strong recommendation for both of these characters on Global. They should be just really good value, really powerful, and it'll be interesting to see whether Global content changes over the next couple of weeks or whether anything in the tower will be different to kind of fit this altered schedule or not. But either way, I think that pretty happy to see Globalers getting in on the Halloween fun. So tell me, are you interested in getting these characters? Do you want one? Do you want both? Do you think one is just better value than the other? Either way, I don't have them on the JP side, so because it's just been way too many limited characters in a row and kind of holding out for that 1-year anniversary for the next big thing. Probably you Armont or some collaboration, but I guess we'll find out about that on November 8th. Possibly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you next time.